What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for April 6, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Probably going to be a little bit quicker today. A lot going on. Have to go to my uncle's funeral, everything that goes into that. I'm just exhausted, too. I put in a no-dig fence the past couple days, and for a no-dig, I sure did a lot of digging, so I don't know what's up with that. But thank you to everyone who reached out yesterday for my dad's birthday. He enjoyed it. And if you haven't yet, he's 70, so keep it going. Why not? But appreciate it. A couple programming notes. As I mentioned yesterday, with everything going on, I'm still up in the air and unsure when I'm going to get a chance to record Back to the Future for this week. It will be coming. Obviously, it's not going to be dropping today like it normally is. But stay tuned for that. But since we are on a delay, getting it out, be sure to go back and check out some of the past episodes. Obviously, we just finished up the Women's History Month last week with Mary Beth Freeman. Some of the other ones with the Sixers and Eagles stuff. So be sure to check it out. Give it a like and subscribe, as well as like and subscribe this wherever you get your podcasts. Every little bit helps, whether it's YouTube or the actual podcasts. And do me a favor too. I'm actually curious to know. I'm trying to get things in order here and trying to be better tracking with certain things. Let me know if you're listening more on the podcast or watching more on YouTube. I have been seeing more and more people commenting on YouTube, which is great. But just keep me posted on that. All right. So we don't have to worry about the Phillies today. The home opener has been postponed until tomorrow. They did lose to the Yankees 4-2 last night. They did look slightly better. But they're just very inconsistent. Nola looked much better, thankfully. You could tell he kind of got tired, but that's okay because he did look somewhat better. Offensively, they couldn't get much going. Garrett Cole was just on fire. Injuries seem to be taking a toll right now, and it's a lot of those soft tissue injuries, which is, I don't know if that's a product of the conditioning that they use, a product of the extended postseason run and guys just not having their normal, what they're used to for the offseason. But it's worth monitoring as we go. Obviously, Derrick Hall's was nothing you can do about that. Like, he hurt his thumb. I feel like they're pressing. He hurt his thumb trying to stretch a single into a double. But like the sprained ankles and things like that, like, and if it was the NFL, you would be questioning the team doctors and the training staff. So something worth looking at. But they're back home, and I was listening to the game, and I do have to say I grew up listening to them all in the summer. Harry and Whitey. I like Fransky, but they need to get him somebody consistent. It took me about 5 innings to figure out who he was talking to. I realized it was somebody from the 93 Phillies, and I kind of had it narrowed down, but I wasn't sure if it was Stocker or not, and it was Kevin Stocker. So he's okay. Not my favorite, but I think they need to get just somebody in there consistent with him. But he had mentioned, which is good, that having the day off today might not be the worst thing because they basically had gone right from spring training to Texas to New York, and they haven't even been home yet. So give them a day to just relax, get situated. We'll see. Hopefully they can come out and do well in this homestand at Cincinnati. They're not great, but more on that tomorrow. All right, so today we're going to go back to 1993 and April 6, 1993. Not a very fun day for me. In fact, it was probably the worst day of a young Eagles fan's life. At that point, I was, almost 14 years old. And I feel as though this was when my childhood ended. It's when I realized that sports were changing, the landscape was changing, and it was more of a business. But this was the day that Reggie White officially signed with the Green Bay Packers for 4 years, $17 million. He was the first big name guy to actually leave his team for free agency. Now, there's a lot of speculation and he said, she said with this. Norman Brayman says he's offered him a fair contract. I don't think he was going to offer him $17 million because as I was reading some of the articles, a lot of teams said that's a lot for Reggie, and a lot of people were kind of spinning it, and I don't know if Brayman was one of these or not, that Reggie had lost his step at that point, which is absolutely ridiculous if you look at what he did when he got to Green Bay, even at the end in Carolina, what he did. But Norman says he offered him a contract. Sarah White and Reggie never talked bad about the Eagles either. But Sarah White, his widow now, she said, well, he didn't really. Reggie would have totally come back to the Eagles for far less than that. All he had to do was offer him a contract and he would have came back. So you have who knows what the truth is. We'll never know. Also, too, I don't know if there's any pressure from the NFLPA to get Reggie to be that big name and sort of set the standard now for what we have as the modern day free agency. But either way, I was devastated. And once he left, people were like, oh, he went for the money. I mean, yeah, to a certain point, but like I don't know, everybody thought he was either going to like San Francisco or New York or Washington. But he went to Green Bay, which is technically a small market, and ended up doing well. He won Super Bowl 31 with them. It was a big reason of why. Like I said, it was devastating for me. And I mean, and the worst part is we knew it was happening. Like, as the whole thing was going, everybody knew what was going on. Reggie was leaving. It was just nothing could really prepare you for that, I guess, especially because he was my favorite player. Him and Randall were hands down my favorite players, and Randall constantly was getting hurt during this time, and then Reggie's gone. It was just like, man. And we went into some dark Eagles days there for a couple of years where they just were like a second-tier team. So, I don't know. Think what you want. I mean, I don't know if it was for the money or what, but it ended up playing out well for Reggie, and I don't think anybody faults him. I just wish Brayman would have offered him a contract because eventually the next year he sold the team anyway, and Jeff Lurie even said, well, if I was here, Reggie wouldn't have left. So we'll never know what the true story is, but on this day in 1993, Reggie White officially signed with the Packers as the first big-name free agent and officially ended my childhood. But I still haven't gotten over that, to be honest with you. Let's stick with the Eagles. The Eagles draft pick spotlight today, we're going to look at Derrick Burgess, the South Carolina native, went to Ole Miss. He was a third-round pick and number 63 overall in 2001 by the Eagles. He was first-team All-SEC and led Ole Miss in sacks with 9.5 his senior year. He always had a ton of potential, but he was very injury prone. So his rookie year, he started every game, had 6 sacks, and like you saw the potential, you saw the promise with him. And then 2002, he broke his foot. 2003, his Achilles busted. He came back in 2004, started 12 games, but only had 2.5 sacks. But I mean, he was coming off a broken foot and then an Achilles injury. But he did have 3 sacks in that Super Bowl run, including the only sack they had in the Super Bowl of Tom Brady. They didn't re-sign him, and I know that was very contentious because I know there was a large contingent of people that wanted him to stay in Philly. But he signed with the Raiders and basically blew up for a couple years. He had 16 sacks in 2005, 11 in 2006. Both years he made the Pro Bowl. He did have a decent 2007, but then tore his tricep, and he had 8 sacks. Tore his tricep in 2008. Went to New England and played all 16 games. Started a couple, had 5 sacks as sort of like a role player. Came back for the Eagles to end his career, played 1 game. But again, he had so much potential. If you look at what he did with the Raiders, he just could never put it together here in Philly. But today's Eagles draft pick spotlight, Derrick Burgess, 3rd-round pick in 2011, defensive end. This is the anniversary of the day that Reggie left. A sad, sad day in my house, in my head. But this has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Thursday, and I'll see you when I see you.